Hello and welcome everyone to the Ziam podcast. I'm your host Muhammad Ramadan, and today we've got an exciting conversation lined up for you. Here on the Ziam podcast, we dive deep into the world of digital marketing, business growth, entrepreneurship with the industry's top leaders and innovators. Today's episode is all about scaling SaaS business for long-term growth. And I couldn't be more thrilled to have a guest who's an absolute expert in this field. Joining me today is Mika, an entrepreneur, a business builder who has a passion for communication and leadership. Mika believes
Hello,
that,
buddy, and hello, everyone
yeah.
else.
So thank you so much, Mika, for coming on our show. Can you tell us a bit about your background and how you got started in the SaaS industry?
Yeah. So I believe in good communication, which actually got me into business over 15 years ago. And I wanted to create an environment where people have a good time, communicate well, grow as individuals and businesses. And for the past about 7 years, I've been building teams, especially in the SaaS industry. I just love the 20x potential that people and their businesses have. The the world is open and there's no because it's so easy to or the SaaS businesses have so much potential, so there are no borders. The world is open, and yeah, innovative ideas and the founders drive, they bring me good energy. So that's why I got into SaaS business in the first place.
Wonderful. So, what are the key factors SaaS businesses should consider s- before starting to scale?
I think firstly, which is probably the most important one, is really focus on and think about what is the problem and who is the customer, because they always come first. You should have about 10, 15 case studies where your customers absolutely love your product and can't be without it. Third thing is you have to create a foundation for building a team. So get the essentials right. Think about your values, your standards, the vision, the goals, and everything around that. A very important part as well, because then you can analyze the personalities and like-minded people to join your team. And probably, yeah, next thing is probably pricing strategies. So what value does your product offer in each stage, if you have like different stages for pricing? And last one, get your numbers right. Customer acquisition costs, customer lifetime value, churn rates, and growth rates. You have to understand those numbers.
I love that, Mika. The way you shared step by step, it was really insightful. So,
Yeah.
what strategies have you found most effective for scaling a SaaS business in a very suitable way?
I always focus on the customer first,
Mm-hmm,
try
that's
to serve them and engage with them exceptionally well. I ask for referrals. Another thing actually is create a product and founder-led marketing strategy and content around it. So product-led marketing and founder-led marketing. And beware, try to be everywhere where your customers are and where you can be seen. There are so many ways you can multiply your time and be in every channel. So really dive into those channels, social media channels, and email and whatnot, and try to automate every possible step as soon as possible.
Awesome. So, how important is customer acquisition versus retention? When business scaling, and how do you balance the two?
Those are very important metrics.
Mhm.
I mean, you have to understand your numbers. Obviously, the acquisition cost has to be less than the customer lifetime value. And the bigger the difference is, of course, the better situation you have. Then you got to think about how many customers stay with you during a certain period, which is the retention rate. And the retention rate should be around 95% or more. And then you have a healthy business. So both of them are very important. But if you're not able to acquire customers so that you actually make money, then you don't really have a business. So that
Correct.
always comes first, customer acquisition costs.
Absolutely correct. So, so what are some common mistakes SaaS companies make when trying to scale, or how can they avoid them?
Mm, One of the common mistakes I see is that you don't validate your idea thoroughly and go all in for mm, when you're looking at the customer's pain points, so that you understand that the problem you're trying to solve is big enough. I like to think of it as a scale from 1 to 10.
Mhm.
And you really want to find problems that are a 9 or a 10 and create a solution for that. 5 to 7, they might not be enough. They're not so important for the customer or so big of a problem that the potential customer would be willing to pay for that. So really dive deep into the problems. And hiring and hiring the wrong people. That's a very common mistake I see. And then probably another one is founders don't create clear enough strategies and KPIs to measure everybody's success or job performance.
So, Mika, you mentioned like hiring a wrong people could be a could be a huge mistake for the SaaS company. So how
Yes.
should a SaaS company approach building a team and scaling? So and what roles are critical at different stages?
Well, first, like I said earlier, you as a founder have to have the fundamentals right. Very clear vision, then create values and standards and goals into the business. And once you have those, then you can create a strategy and KPIs for how you measure the success. And then you can think about or decide what roles are missing, which will get you closer to those goals that you determined. And then comes the exciting part, which is you get to market and analyze the potential candidates based on the set values and all the fundamentals that I mentioned. The personality fit is very important. Then comes the cultural fit. And I think lastly, this is where a lot of founders get it wrong as well, is expertise comes last. You can always teach sales to people, for example, but you cannot teach perseverance. So you cannot teach attitude. You either have it or you don't. And that's how I would
Hmm.
approach
It's very
when
interesting.
building a team.
Yeah, it's very interesting. So let's talk about product. Like how does continuous product development play a um, play a role in a long-term growth? And how do you ensure your product involves with market needs?
Mm. Of course, product development is very important, but you got to remember uh, development ideas don't come from within the team. They come from the customer. So, because business is an infinite game, the ones who are most interested in uh, serving the customer stay in the game for the longest. And since the market is changing constantly, you have to change as well. So you have to focus on product development, of course. But the answers you're looking for is you have to communicate with your customer, ask for feedback, ask for referrals. How can we make this product better? What are we missing? And so on. So communicating with your customer will give you the tools for product development and how you can stay in the game for a longer period of time.
So great, awesome. So Mika, previously you talked about how important metric is in SaaS business. So um, I want to ask you specifically, what are the most important metrics SaaS businesses should track to measure their scalability and growth?
Probably one of the most important ones is the comparison between customer acquisition costs and customer lifetime value. So the bigger the difference is, the better the business. So of course, customer lifetime value has to be bigger than acquisition costs. Then churn rate. So how quickly or what's the um, retention or churn rate? So how many customers leave or stay with you during a certain period of time? And then I would measure the MRR or ARR and growth rate. How quickly are we growing and getting customers? And then I would also focus on sales process and sales metrics. How long does it take you to acquire a customer, and how well are you able to turn those, like, let's say, free users into paying customers?
Okay. Wonderful. So my next question is, how should SaaS companies approach funding when scaling? Is external investment always necessary?
Mm. I don't think it's always necessary to have external investments. You can always bootstrap, but it's damn good practice to talk to investors. You get to test your idea, get feedback from uh, the people that see similar businesses all the time. You get to network and create new possibilities for growth. And so you get very good questions and a lot of help that challenge your thinking from the outside of your own bubble, whether it's investor or coach or mentor or whoever expert.
So
And actually, probably some tips that you could consider
awesome.
before approaching a potential investor. Create those case studies. Have customers who tell you that, yes, I want to buy your product. Think about your team and have an amazing group of people that support the skills required to solve the customer's problem, and have a very clear plan for the current year, but few years after that, what's going to happen.
That's the points you mentioned is very important, and
Yeah,
it was quite insightful. So
yeah, thanks.
in in today's digital world, okay, whenever any business want to go anywhere, and I mean it's a huge it's a huge competitive market, okay. So
True.
how can a SaaS business stand out in a competitive market and especially maintain a long-term growth? Because mostly business come into the market and after some time they are
Probably the most important thing is having customer first mentality always. Um, Put yourself out there as a founder, since founder-led companies tend to outperform others. And tell a lot of stories, create product-led content, ask a lot of feedback. And once you communicate with your audience, and then you're able to share those stories which people can relate to, and truly understand people, because once you understand people, you're able to communicate and lead a lot more effectively and save yourself as a founder a lot of time and money. And probably the last tip would be focus on your business and not your competitors.
exactly. So
Yeah.
how does gathering customer feedback helps in scaling? And how do you know when you have achieved product market fit?
Good question. I mean, feedback is everything. You have to learn how to give it as a leader. You have to want it as a business owner, and you have to listen to the market. Who would buy my product? What would make people to buy my product? You have to really think about and go deep in these questions to really get the feedback, because you cannot answer all the questions by yourself. And there's this 40% rule. So if you survey your customers and 40% tell you that they would be very disappointed if they didn't have access to your product, then you have reached the product market fit.
Awesome. So, Mika, I have one question related to you. Like,
Yeah.
what are some of the biggest challenges you have faced while scaling a SaaS business, and how did you overcome them?
Mm, this is actually a fun and quick little story. I had this one coach who always told me about how important creating your niche was. So really diving deep into the problems and customers. And at first, I didn't take it so seriously. So it took me quite a few trials and errors to learn that it is a lot easier to tell a story when you know who you're talking to. So I think for me, it was finding my ideal customer at first.
And that's very awesome, Mika.
Yeah.
So my next question is, how did you see the SaaS landscape evolving, and what should companies be preparing for in the future?
Mm. Of course, the productivity, personalization at scale are definitely a few trending topics at the moment, which are, of course, uh, due to AI. Then vertical and kind of micro SaaS solutions. So they're very niche specific solutions. For example, you see this a lot in many fields, but healthcare and fintech and real estate to name a few. So very narrow niche specific solutions. And of course, security and data privacy are on people's minds due to new regulations and how the markets are evolving at the moment. And I think we're also becoming more and more attached to our phones. So I see a lot of mobile first SaaS solutions that are trending right now. So that is something to keep in mind.
I love that. So, what final piece of advice would you give to SaaS entrepreneurs looking to scale their business?
Customer always comes first. That customer centric mentality is definitely one that I cannot emphasize enough. Don't assume anything, rather always ask a lot of questions. Automate as many steps as possible. We're only able to work so many hours a day and a week. So try to find situations where you can automate steps and really understand people. Ask for feedback, questions, referrals. That way you're able to lead your own team and understand your customers. I think that's a good combo.
Exactly. So thank you so much for joining me today, Mika. It's been a real pleasure having you on the podcast and sharing your insights. I'm sure our listeners will find it incredibly valuable. I appreciate your time and look forward to staying connected. Take care.
Thank you very much. Bye bye.